Can I do the rest of this episode in Terrence Howard voice? Can we talk about trauma, man? Can we talk about bullying, man? You ever been to Memphis, man? Man, you got out of Memphis, boy. Let me tell you, you go to that pyramid, boy, man. Hey. See? That's all you got to do. Drink your water, man.
Stupid. We're back with another episode of Black in the Middle.
Middle class.
Middle of the map.
A podcast by three friends who seem to always find themselves stuck in between.
Black culture.
And white America.
If you're a believer that genuine conversations can be a first step to closing a divide, then you're in the right place.
The middle.
With us.
Let's go.
All right, we are back. These are your hosts, Tim,
Travis, Herman.
And today we're going to talk about trolling. No, just kidding. So we're going to talk about something that I honestly just learned. It's called White Adjacency. Now you can Google it. I think Urban Dictionary will probably come up first, but then there might be some other definitions. Maybe Herman's already published a blog.
Doesn't sound like
a
an
blog
Oxford
on
term.
it.
No.
It's definitely not in the Oxford Dictionary.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
But it might be in 2024. So we had an amazing episode with the situational therapist. He shared some intimate experiences with us, some stories from his childhood. He talked about getting canceled and how he's, dealing with that. And he really schooled us on a lot of great things. I mean, parenting, relationships, it was a phenomenal episode. Yeah. But one of the pieces of content went viral on TikTok. Yes, we are on TikTok. Don't forget to like and follow and subscribe and all those things. We are on TikTok and YouTube.
Another one.
I know. Let me turn my notifications off. So we played this, or we recorded the episode. We published some of the clips, and one went viral. And it was him telling a story about his childhood and growing up and going to a predominantly white school. Raise your hand if you went to a predominantly white school.
That makes a story.
And probably 99% of our listeners.
Yeah.
It was, not only was the clip interesting, obviously, because it got, 140 plus comments.
Yeah.
But the comments were interesting. First off, thank you so much for engaging on the social medias. Even if you don't really listen to podcasts and you're not listening right now, it's okay. I'm thanking you too. But it was great engagement. It was great feedback on the content that we're putting out there. And it spurred some thoughts.
Ooh. Yeah. So the comment is giving us content.
Right? That's so meta. I'm going to play the clip for you right quick. And then we're going to let Herman take it from there.
I didn't have to go to the regular public school. I got to go to the white school across the tracks.
Yep.
That school was amazing, bro. Felt like I fit in. They were really nice to me. Whereas at home or in my family, the love language is just teasing all the time. It's unnecessary. The level of teasing and bullying that occurs as a rite of passage in Black, it's ridiculous. And I remember one specific incident. I was getting an award and I was wearing some slacks and a nice shirt. But one of my family members said when I was walking up that your butt is too high on your back. I went to one of my teachers in tears and I was like, I told them what my family member said. And she was like, baby, I don't know why they said that, but you're beautiful. And that's where it started, where I started to be more connected with white culture or white influences than I did with Black. Because every time I went to people like me, they were making fun of me. Why are you so sweet? Why are you so this? Why are you so that? But I get it. It's funny. It's a joke. I laugh. That's the trauma response I created to deal with it.
All right. So that was a clip from Derek, the situational therapist. And when he was saying that, I was thinking about something totally different, not really associated with his story. Right? I was thinking about Travis, Mr. Bone, because guilty, Herm. We used to poke fun at T-Bone.
Yeah, we used to poke fun at everybody.
But
hold on. I feel as if the narrative better be clear. I was nobody's whipping boy. But go ahead.
Dang, bro, how you gonna clarify it before I even say it?
I didn't like the train when it was going down.
Everybody used to pick up.
So allow me to retort.
I'm trying to be transparent here.
Okay, go ahead. Then I will retort.
Not even we. I have popped off a joke or two about your booty.
Okay.
All right. T-Bone was one of the tallest kids in school up until 7th grade. Maybe 6th grade when Jason did his, was that 6th or 5th when he came?
Yeah, 6th.
I think you had the height. You had the height before he came, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, T was a black man. He had a big butt.
Big booty joke.
And he was athletic, right? So so we would always play like backyard football, baseball, basketball, and T-Bone could move, man. Like for a big dude, he could move. And so I don't know if we was joking and it was like insecurity on our level, or we was just trying to get him in while we could before he got, bigger and stronger and faster than all of us, and we couldn't touch him.
I don't know how to respond to all of this.
I know, because
now that you've been attacked.
Because I'm not attacking. I'm reflecting, and I'm apologizing.
There's no need.
No, it's for me then. Fine.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm apologizing because I know that I assumed that some of those jokes might have went too far or maybe lasted too long. And maybe you did not feel some type of way. Maybe you don't remember feeling some type of way. Or maybe
I do remember.
You was just so conditioned to joning that you was just clap back. But this was before the clap back stage of the evolution of the black man, right? So this was elementary.
I want to make, but I'm just going to hold back.
Because we know it's a different type of clap.
I think there was a couple things. One, you're right, I was tall, so my butt was probably an IQ.
It was higher than the rest of ours.
Your ass out my face.
It was just biology.
That's probably where your focal point was. You start looking outward, you start looking there, and it's like. But I mean, like I think we talked about.
I mean, it's not like you were corduroys.
It's hard to be black
anything,
and they got black asses everywhere.
I just wish I would have responded to it differently. But what happened was, I mean, to his point, when you're young, sometimes joning can be a trauma.
Absolutely,
I mean, it definitely can be if you don't know how to take it. Pause. But I think that when you're talking about certain people, like you say, it's a love language, and we can only speak about what we know. So we're talking about the black community, joning, high side, playing the dozens, whatever you call it, wherever you're at. It just comes with the game.
Roasting.
But you look at somebody and you find what you're essentially doing is anything that might be slightly abnormal or
different.
Yeah. It becomes a focal point, and it becomes part of your arsenal to make fun of that person. And you either laugh it off, or you come back with you square up with responses, or you square up with your fist.
All right, or you take your ball and you go home, which is what I used to do before I got acclimated into the joning, sessions. To be honest,
I had never thought about how hard we come at one another, in the thread. I'm full of jokes. But it does come from a place of love.
It was 6 a.m. in the morning. You came at your brown like
out of nowhere, man.
Wow. It was so rude. It was very rude, Herb.
But it's out of love. I joke with people that I would die for. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like,
and he laughed. He laughed right back at it.
Fraternity's a life. Like, we've been friends for over 20 years. Like, we know one another. Like, there's
now.
That's
relationship
based. Yeah. It's 100% relationship based. So if you have a group of friends where you know that you can make fun of people and that's where it stops, then that's that. But when you're in the young,
let somebody else come up and co-sign.
It's not necessarily funny.
Nah, cause you can't get in on this joke.
I'm ready.
Yeah, man.
I'm ready to fight.
It's an intimate setting. But
so once again, he's in a forming, norming, storming phase of his life. So he's somebody pissed in his Cheerios and rained on his parade. You talk about the emotions of it. When you're riding high, you'd like to come back and be able to, have somebody acknowledge you and say, great job for what you're doing. Like it would be the example of, Tim running for a touchdown, right? and him coming back to the sideline.
And everybody's saying is you didn't pitch me the ball.
Yeah, which may or may not have happened.
It still happens to this day. That's a great example. Thank you.
Like, why was you hiding him from the 20-yard line? So...
you fingering happy? You know who you are.
Oh, my God. So anyway,
yeah.
So that's part of the trauma for him. It's not that, it's the venue, the situation. When you're at your highest, somebody, the only way they know to express themselves is to cut you down.
Yeah. I agree, and I appreciate that frame of reference because that does make sense, right? Like it was that moment of crowning achievement that Derek felt, and what he got was what he remembers as an adult,
right?
Was complete backlash and no appreciation, no congratulations,
negativity from the people that you rely on to be your support system.
Which I'm sure it might have been there,
right? Oh,
right, like from probably parents or siblings, but cousins and uncles, they're gonna go in. But it's what he remembers, and I think that's the impactful part. And also, when you listen to his story, it set the tone. When this is one example.
Yes,
we guarantee it wasn't the only.
Right. We
can all talk. And we all have stories about being made fun of, right? Whether you're white or black, but.
Well, so
a little bit different.
So I think that's the place. This is a great place to start, or a great segue when it comes to. So, what was the response like? And most people, regardless of race, that commented on that video were in support or shared stories of feeling the same way, whether you're in a Hispanic family or white or some it wasn't like a cultural frame around it from the standpoint of how a few negative comments came through. But I'm he wasn't diminishing black culture. That his experience in this instance was just positive in that way with that group.
So, he is diminishing black culture, but the thing is, it's not a competition, and that's where people kind of have it mixed up. He's not saying that it's worse or whatever, but he is talking about the culture and how
he's talking about his family, though.
He said it's unnecessary in black culture. That was what he said.
Yeah. But I would say it's unnecessary.
And it is unnecessary.
Yeah, it's unnecessary.
But that doesn't make it that there's a lot of things that are unnecessary.
Sure.
That still happen.
The comments. So most people, regardless of race, kind of felt like what he said was okay, or they shared similar experience when it came to family bullying, trauma, or a rite of passage. But there were a few comments that went negative. One specifically, there were a few that I just wanted that kind of created this episode.
Yeah.
And something that I had never viewed as something inherently negative. But these were the comments, which was white culture is nice until it isn't. Funny how people with proximity to whiteness can only see the negative side of black culture, and you think you're white adjacent. And I had
girl, we talking about you. We made a whole episode about your comment. Let's go.
But it's good though. I'm it's good because until that point, I had never thought about just existing in the middle space as something that is or could be viewed as inherently negative. And maybe it was the context that she received his clip from. But I was like, all right, well, we grew up in the suburbs. Let's unpack this white adjacency and see if it leads to what should be deemed negative. Is it positive? In my mind, I'm like, hey, I just learned from it, navigate as me being me, and I've been just fine. But
what is white adjacency though? This shit is still blowing my mind. It's a very fun term.
I know, right?
I've never heard.
But so I'm like, it's weird because we talk about privilege, right?
Yeah.
White privilege, that whole conversation. So white adjacency can be defined as a person coming from a marginalized background within society in terms of race and at the same time receiving benefits similar to those identified as white, which I think similar is interesting because they will never be the same, but it's like riding on the proximity of whiteness coattails. And I just was like, hey man, we're three people. We've gone through it. So can we break this down? Because I responded to this comment and I was like, basically, dude, that is the middle. The middle, the 12 states that make up middle America are 73% white. You're always going to be white adjacent.
We're all within proximity.
Right. I'm like, you could break down you can break down the segregation that still lives in Kansas City, St. Louis, Chicago. There's that. But I'm like, dog, there's thousands.
So let's start there, right? So, T, why don't you tell us about like your white adjacent story, or like when did you, growing up, when did you become, close proximity of the white race?
I would say it exponentially grew when I moved to Lee Summit, which would be in the early 90s, somewhere around 91. I think that it definitely accelerated because then I was in an environment where it was predominantly white. So that's where I got my exposure. But when I think about it, when I was in Kansas City School District, which was predominantly black, I still your teachers are white. You're still there. Like maybe your friends are not so much or not as, but I think one of my best friends at school was white, but it definitely sped up because there was an overindulgence.
But you weren't entrenched
in the early 90s.
Yeah, I mean, you weren't entrenched in white culture in the in the inner city, being the city center, or at least not even the outermost suburbs, I would say, right? Like your transition was similar to mine. Started in the inner city, then moved out to a little bit, 5 miles to Grandview, and then 5 more miles out to Raytown, and then 10 more miles out to Lee Summit. And damn, ain't no black people out here.
Slow escape.
Yeah, but I would say I was embraced in American culture where like growing up, so I was in gifted education. So, everything that was outside of your normal curriculum was, there was quite a few white kids in those. So there were some black kids in there too. It's really just a plug for me to let you all know that I was in a gifted education program.
I'm like, did he just
bring that up? What did the racial he don't know.
Well, since we talking about it, I mean, I did get a letter from my daughter's principal that she is in the 97th percentile.
Outstanding.
Thus, if they had gifted education at the school, thank you, COVID, she would be in those classes. But you know what? Me being in the gifted education classes, not in elementary school because I wasn't that smart. I just tried harder in high school. Man, I am not going to let my kid do those advanced classes, but that's another episode.
Fair enough.
Back to the
So what about you?
white adjacent.
White adjacency.
So I mean,
when did you get whitewashed?
well, being light skinned, I think that my story might be a little bit different. My experiences will be different. My story might be the same.
They thought he was safe.
But we've talked about how I felt when I was younger, right? So I kind of ed back and forth. So my mom's probably gonna get mad at me for saying this, but
Just say it softly, man. Maybe she won't listen. Say nothing.
well, I can
Mama.
say it accurate. My mom does not fuck with niggas, right? Like there's a difference between like black people and niggas.
Yeah,
That's a whole nother
Hey,
episode.
man, don't mess up your daycare, brother.
Hey man, I'm keeping it real. So I was always white adjacent. My mom was an accountant, right? Like, granted, my dad and my grandfather were also in like taxes and accounting. Now that I'm thinking about it and saying it out loud, it's kind of weird. But for the most part, that was a Caucasian dominated industry.
True indeed.
Right? Unless you were in the black parts of the city, like my grandfather, right? He was the black accountant for black professionals.
Right on.
But I think growing up, my mom worked in banks, right? Financial institutions, real estate. And so those were all white adjacent, locations and businesses. I don't know if I'm using that term right because it's new and it's fun. But so there was always a little bit of exposure there, right? And so I had that growing up. But I've said it on the pod before, when I was in daycare, like I was surrounded. I mean, every kid in my preschool, which was in Grandview, they were mostly white. At least the ones that I fucked with. And I remember thinking to myself, and I don't know if I said it out loud or asked my mom, but I remember thinking, like, why am I not white? Why do I not look like everybody else who is quote unquote cool, quote unquote, in the in crowd? I wondered, right? And that's like some innocent 5-year-old shit. Like you just don't know why you came out the way you came out. But as as we transition to the the migration of going out to the burbs to get that better education, so that our parents can set us up for the future that we have.
Yeah.
Thank you. It got wider and wider, and I started speaking more proper and proper.
More textbook.
Right. I started doing maybe less black things.
Such
right?
as?
Oh, like playing soccer. Right. That was my first sport. And I know my daddy was like, damn, I can't pick up a round ball. Dad, it is round. But no, I wasn't hooping, man. I was playing soccer. And that's a whole nother, man, I just came up 4 episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So, as I got indoctrinated into white America, that becomes your brand, your culture, right? Your personal culture, and you start to assimilate, right? Because cultural norms, you try to fit in. I don't care who you think you are.
But that's the thing. I'm like, when it comes to the idea of fitting in, I just personally don't like certain aspects of your blackness, which is completely subjective, being diminished by how you fit in. And what that is at an early age versus once you come into your own, I would say by high school, nobody was like, I wish I was white, or at least nobody that I know.
No.
And if you didn't wish that, then it's just, to me, like the whole thing is an education on a different culture and understanding every nuance of what you learn about being black by people that aren't around many black people.
I don't know I don't know why, but the only thing that I can think of that I did that was different from Kansas City to Lee Summit was play tetherball. There was no tetherball.
Get out. Get him out of here. I'm just kidding.
But
Did you have a tetherball at Harmon? Did you at Harmon or Washington?
Eisenhower.
So
school.
I come out there. I'm like, what is the?
Did you have tetherball out there?
Oh, man, I don't remember.
I'm like,
Possibly.
Bro, I was the king of tetherball.
I was like,
cut.
what is this game? It's called tetherball,
And being the tallest motherfucker on the playground,
He was just booming it on people.
treetops.
Oh man,
Damn, you really remember a lot about tetherball.
Yeah.
I used to rock at tetherball.
Yeah, man. I really can't think of much that was different, but like for us, culture was big in our household. So I went to the school. My brother did not. My brother started school. He stayed in Kansas City. My parents would take him to Kansas City to go to school, and I was in Lee Summit. So they thought that I was emotionally ready for the change, and they wanted him to have a similar
Gonna
foundation.
let you try
to
it
what I
out
had.
and see what happens.
Yeah, you go. You be the Jackie Robinson on this thing and walk down this path, and then take some lumps and see how it goes.
Yeah. My experience was just different. So I went to, actually, my first school, like from Montessori to 5th grade, was Scion, which was pretty diverse. So I'm like,
Private,
diverse.
Yep.
All just about doing your work. And I had my friends at school. And then I went from there to public school in Kansas City, Kansas. And that was kind of a culture shock. But strange enough, there were obviously way more black people. But there were also way more people.
Hey, man.
Huh.
Why? Maybe I need to ask
Why I did all that?
Mr. and Mrs. Watson,
Oh, it's easy.
the original. Why would you take your kid from
My dad-
Scion?
Yeah, Scion.
Scion,
A private school.
private school, which I am currently paying for, and then take him not to charter school,
Yeah.
not to another
I don't even know
private
if that was a
school,
thing.
not to public school in Lee Summit,
Nope.
where you lived,
Right.
but to public school in Kansas City,
So,
Kansas.
The answer's simple.
Don't get no blacker than that.
The answer's simple. Well,
With a sprinkle of
first,
Mexican.
my parents.
The answer is simple, but I got a 4-pronged response.
Yeah.
No. First of all, my
Here's
parents.
my dissertation.
My parents didn't want me going to school in Lee Summit because of all the racial issues that they had with people that had gone there that were about my sister's
Lee
age.
Summit wasn't ready.
Lee Summit.
Got it.
My dad was like, "You're not." He just didn't want us going to school in Lee
Yeah,
Summit.
no, the facts.
Cool. So Eisenhower, my dad had an office in Kansas City, Kansas. So
Okay.
right. But also he wanted me to go in my sister's footsteps to Sumner Academy, where she
Right.
went to high school, and apparently
sound.
I didn't test in.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
like-
which is funny because I'm smart, but I just didn't give a shit about school. By the time I would have been able to test in because my grades dropped when I was at Eisenhower because I no longer
Can we
cared
talk
about
about Herman's smartness?
Yeah. Again.
I feel like I love you, man. But I feel like you didn't become smart
It's a new phenomenon.
school. To me, it's a
until adulthood,
Yeah.
into manhood.
yeah.
Because the Herman that I remember from high school,
Dumb as hell.
Damn, Doc. Okay. First of all,
Dumb as hell. Looking at people's asses and shit.
cracking jokes.
That's what I remember.
that was. Hey, look, man. I didn't know shit
But
about.
fast.
Hey, look. I didn't know shit about personas back
You
then.
could jump though.
Doc. Anyway, like it was just something that
He said
dumb as hell. Come on.
I would
man.
not have said that about you.
I
but
know,
it was,
right?
I'm just
It
What,
was
didn't we start
foresight.
off talking about bullying anyway? Big black.
We
and
go
big-
in.
I'm just kidding.
Well, this took a turn.
I know, right?
perpetuating the stereotype.
Man.
Joni.
Toxic. I'm toxic.
Damn,
Damn it,
black
can we
culture.
just get back? Can we learn something about white adjacency, my brother? What? What? Man, y'all need to grow up. See? No, man.
I'm gonna die. That's
No,
hilarious.
don't do that.
Every time I hear that, I picture the guy on
Yeah. Oh no. Don't be a menace.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Probably
Bean
was.
pie, my brother. Talk about white adjacency.
Oh my god.
Doc.
We're gonna have to finish this tomorrow.
Oh man, where
All right,
you
go
at?
ahead.
Okay. So then from there,
Before we detoured.
Your journey to whiteness.
Yeah.
I mean greatness. I mean
Let's
smartness.
tap into your new phenomenon.
anyway,
All
public
right.
school, KCK. Didn't care about school. Grades got bad. Then went to Rockhurst for 2 years. Did fine. I mean, I was the same student I was.
Yeah, but
at
part,
least I'm a
but
North.
part of that was you were bullied there because you
Hold up. Bullied where?
KCK.
No.
Excuse me, not bullied technically. Sorry, but didn't they make comments about you as far as your grades and your performance, and you decided to kind of pull back a little bit? I believe you said that on.
Yeah,
the
you were
podcast.
trying
yeah,
to
yeah.
be dumb so
Well,
you could fit in.
I mean, so
Dumb
what?
down-
Yeah.
dumb down for
And it
y'all.
just
look.
stayed.
Hey, look.
Smart move.
What happened was I just wasn't.
Genius.
It's like, cool, I don't have
Now
to
I
try
fit
hard
in.
at anything.
My ass is so smart.
I mean,
I'm
I
gonna dumb
didn't.
it down.
Yeah.
I didn't have to try that hard because I mean, Sion, you're like a year ahead, right? So I'm like, I just, was,
Two.
yeah,
Yeah.
at a minimum. So I'm like, it just, I no longer had interest. I was trying to make
He's like,
friends.
y'all don't have any quantum physics in here?
shit.
Okay. Give me algebra.
No, I mean, and that makes sense. It totally makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm like, I just kind of was fitting in, but I'm like, I was still myself, right? Like I've never been too dissimilar. If you talk to my mom, she would say that I was trying to fit in with the way in which I spoke, my dialect, right?
He was code switching, cut.
Code switching.
But that's all.
But, like,
but
We do that today.
the adjacency portion of it, and I'm glad you
Do
said
it on
that.
the podcast.
Hi.
I was code switching all day. 6:30 hit.
Right?
What up, Cuddy?
But that's all I cared about, man. As far as when I went to that new environment, I wasn't sure how I was being taken. Like, I wasn't sure if people liked me. I wasn't sure if I was being accepted, and I would do little things to try to figure out if I was. And the way I would try to figure out if I was if I was liked or accepted was, one, how high did I get picked at recess for team sports? You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a big barometer amongst
Well,
the
did
boys.
they need speed or did they need block?
At that age, I provided both. Much later, it was more so about taking up space.
And creating space.
Yes.
Don't get pancaked.
But then the other way, but this is the biggest way, and I remember having to deal with this, is would I be invited to birthday parties? Because certain
They thought
people
she was going to
you
steal
would-
something.
Certain,
Man, y'all are blowing my mind right now.
but it was parties.
Y'all were so aware.
I remember that there was a kid, kids, you talk to all the kids in your class, and they're passing out birthday cards to everybody but you. And you're wondering if it's black.
It's not funny, Herman.
Because this same person is talking to you all during
Yeah.
class. And I remember in junior high, there was a girl who grew up 4 doors down, right? We are great friends on the block. Our families are friends. Everything. she throws a party, I'm not invited.
Yeah,
and I'm
when,
trying to
when
figure
everybody
out
else
why.
was around, she didn't want you in that crowd, cuz.
Nah.
Dude,
And so
Was she white?
Yeah. Yeah. We all know her
Were
well.
you?
Up.
We do?
Yeah. She
What's
ran,
her name?
She ran track.
Up.
AG. That's where I
Oh,
live.
yeah. Okay.
So four doors down, and I'm like, damn, like I got to listen to you on the bus talk about the party that I can't come to. Her mom is like talking to my mom, like I don't know why she didn't invite Travis because we thick as thieves on the block, right? You know,
See,
so
that's when the parents supposed to interfere.
and that's where, but it's things like that. Like that's where I was trying to figure out: is it me? Is it racial? Is it what is it? Like I'm not sure because. I mean, I think I was raised right, so I was generally nice and I was generally liked.
And always
my whole
included.
life.
You were used to being included.
Yeah, but you know, my families don't throw parties, so it's not like I reciprocate. It wasn't like I was going to have them in my functions because
Family
was
threw
no
parties.
function.
The kids weren't invited. Though.
Oh yeah, my family.
We had
threw-
to come downstairs and
Right. It was
crash.
it was my job to take care of all the other little kids.
So this
Right.
is where I find it interesting because the person that commented, they talk about you think you're white, right? Like funny, like positioning us, or not us necessarily, because the direction was to the video, but I'm like, I feel like if white adjacency
feel
is a
attacked.
thing, yeah, like you
I
feel
feel
attacked,
attacked.
right? And so I'm like, but it's weird. So that instance happens really early on in development as a black kid in a predominantly white area, and you learn something about being excluded. And then I was bringing up when we were talking before this episode about college is the next situation where I'm like, you really get that feeling of not fitting in. And I talk about people that we were cool as shit with in high school that we talk to every day, party with, do all this stuff with, get to college, they join an all-white frat. And when they're with people
They're
from
a
that,
different person.
they like hardly know you. And I,
Right.
you know, like,
But here's the thing about the way we grew up, and that once again, the forming, norming, and storming stages of our life, you deal with that exclusion. You deal with that joy of being included. So you go through those emotions. For me, probably Tim, and you, Herman, as well. Before the age of 14, you've already been through all that.
all of it.
And
Yeah.
so when you get to college, though, like people come from everywhere, and those from different backgrounds are like not even receptive to that. They're like they don't even want no part of that,
Yeah.
or it's like a mind blowing experience that this is going on.
Everybody's going through a culture
Yeah.
shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when it comes to knowing your place or feeling comfortable, like you kind of foresee what's going to happen. You kind of foresee relationships kind of splintering because on that college campus, and you went to HBCU, so you don't know. But like then, you know, I spent most of my time with black folks I knew, just like you probably did, whether it was through a sports or whatnot. And I'm like, it's kind of interesting how I'm going to say subconsciously kind of resegregate, right? Like black student union, black fraternities, like it just like you resegregate. And then you graduate and you get into the real world, and then
Yeah.
Back to
But
white America.
But I think it's deeper.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I'm like,
But I think it's deeper than rap on that one. I
it
think
is.
I think that I would college is that stark reminder that everybody ain't really your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, everybody's not mature enough to be your friend.
Right.
Because when you grow up in a white adjacent type atmosphere, you are one of the good ones. You're an exception to the rule.
I was just thinking, so I'm like, from the perspective of what I assume that white friend was thinking of and having to speak to, how do you know that guy? Oh, he's just from high school. And then they have a friend that like, I've never talked to a black person. I hear that they're whatever they feel like, right? I mean, so then it's on this young white male's thing to either defend you and argue with 50 white guys
or
they
keep
just-
quiet and assimilate.
Yeah, right. And I'm
Fall
like,
into the background.
exactly. So I'm like, and I can't fault them for that because especially at the time, I'm like, dog, we weren't talking about culture in this way at all. We weren't having those conversations. It was just black, white, and we ain't
Yeah.
talking about that.
Yeah.
Everybody
That's
move on.
funny.
But it's a whole different animal because when you grow up like that, you'll have so many people who are authentic and look at you as you. And then
Yeah.
you'll have these people who are sprinkled in that same atmosphere who just don't see it that way. And I just never forget being in college and having that feeling of, oh man, like that's how you view me? Like for
Yeah,
real? Like
so-
that's what it is?
As you're talking, I'm thinking of how we put people in buckets, right? And
Yeah.
maybe it was a bucket, and maybe it had nothing to do with race, right? maybe you guys were friends because of sports or because you were in class the whole time or because you lived next door, right? So maybe you didn't have any common, you weren't real friends.
Yeah.
You were just acquaintances all the time.
Yep.
Thus feels like friendship at that young age, right? Like I thought a whole bunch of people were my friends, and then one thing happened and they turned real quick. Whether a lot of times it was racial, especially in the neighborhood, but other times it was just just other random shit. So maybe AG didn't put you in the party bucket. You were more of the he's my friend behind closed doors bucket.
It's not my friend in public.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was a side friend.
But regardless, I'm like
Sneaky link friend.
the natural progression of friendships and relationships when it comes to race. I don't think anything that I learned being close to white culture diminished my blackness or view of black culture in a negative way, because you see the negative side of, like, in my response, I'm like, you can critique both, because I understand white culture so well, because I've watched those things, because like you think through why you are included, excluded, how you felt when you were included, going to a predominantly white party as a middle schooler, high schooler, college, completely different kind of things happening, right? Like,
Yeah. There is another side of the coin, though. Remember, we're in the middle, and just as I'm with you 100%, there was nothing, in my opinion, that diminished my blackness. If anything, I tried to do certain things to hold on to it, But I do think that there was times when I had to feel like I had to justify my blackness, and I had to, and I wasn't sure if I was being accepted in my community.
Hey, look, so it's funny because I'm like, there's assumptions around being black from white people. I cannot think of any examples right now, but I'm like, they just assume that you are a certain way because you are there. So you must have certain feelings or whatever, not paying attention to how shit that's going on could affect you. And then there's like, are you now not black enough because you feel so comfortable in these spaces?
Bro, I would never forget the day I went to school. It was the weekend after the Black Expo. And I think it was around 89, 90 something.
I came back with a dashiki.
No, it was the black pleather
with the
roped African.
Yeah.
With the
they thought you was militant.
Bro, so I bought it, and I wore it to school. I was like, yo, it's Africa, it's cool. I saw it on Do the Right Thing, like, this is fresh. And it was just the most awkward day I ever had in white America since. And it did not resonate. Like, I'm pretty sure I took it off by the end of the day. I don't think I was forced to take it off by any teacher, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody was like,
I was at school with
no
you back
shit.
then. I would have gave you the black fist. But
safety, my
and
brother.
I probably would have been like,
there's only one of us.
what is that?
You want to fight?
Are you trying to Damn,
Square
black on
up.
black crime, bro?
Yeah. He wanted to fight me.
But yeah, man, I just but similarly, like I remember, and I don't know why it always goes back to the Black Expo, but like that's where I would get like my gear, right? I would come back with like my Grambling shirt, and I wear it to school, and it's like crickets. I'm like, bro, this is dope. Like you saw him play on Thanksgiving, like come on.
Yep.
But there was only like one other person
like,
I
"We've
could talk
never
to
seen
about.
a
We were in
football
the
game."
same grade, in the same class,
or on the same bus.
I know.
Yeah. See you in passing.
So it's weird because we build our own culture and identity kind of separate. I don't want to say in a silo, but essentially we build it in a silo because we're having conversations about black stuff and culture and movies and all the shit that we loved together.
But
as
when
a
we were
group.
little, though, they were just conversations.
Yeah.
Right? There was no black culture, white culture, black this, white that. It was just, this is our environment. This is how we live. Why don't you understand this? Why doesn't this translate to school? At least that's how I was.
Yeah, I probably just didn't give a shit. Like, I just never felt like I was getting in those conversations. When I was talking about Friday, I was talking about Friday with y'all. When I was listening to 3 6 Mafia, I'm listening to 3 6 Mafia with y'all. Introducing it to a few others or like whatever that is. But like, I felt like that was our thing. Like that.
Yeah.
And not that it couldn't be other people's thing, but I'm like, yeah, my system is booming in my trunk. I like 3 6 Mafia. And
Yeah.
I was not afraid or not doing that because of proximity to whiteness. I was doing that because that's what I wanted to do, and I felt safe in the ability to do that, which I think is interesting because then we talk about white adjacency because white people found us trustworthy and kind and all the positive shit that they thought about us. They didn't really see anything negative about that until like.
Wait, what do you mean?
See anything negative about like us rolling up to.
I think that's because they consider you to be a product of their environment. This is their environment that they've created. This is their cocoon. And you are a product of that school system. You're a product of those rules. You're a product of those people being the coaches of your teams. Like, you are a product of an environment that they have created.
Wait.
Therefore,
where is this coming from, Travis?
I'll keep going.
Therefore, that's why you're accepted, right? If they see you if they see you grow and rise from the phoenix, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're flourishing and they feel like they've been along for that development and that ride, there's ownership and investment into you. And the epiphany that I'm having is that that's why you're different.
Right. Yeah.
Jesus. H?
Which just means, so when it comes to the privilege piece, it just means that you're going to be fucked with a little bit less. Like, we're going to let him listen to his loud music in public slide because that is kind of separate from other aspects that you would look at or that they might look at when it comes to black culture or whatever negative nuances they look at. But I'm like, for me, it was just me being with my black folks listening to black shit.
I mean, because I can just look at people who I know who come into that environment and they're kind of outcasts. You come in from California and all of a sudden, you know, you don't know anything about this individual, you know, then it's, you know, that's a different path for them. But if you transfer in from Rockhurst, it's like, oh, well, you know, I stamp all that pedigree is good. Come on in, the water's fine.
Yeah.
So
if you coming from Cali or whatever, like, you going through the fucking ringer
you got
to qualify.
You got to prove
everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Shout out to my West Coast transfers.
Yep.
That's interesting. Can we step back just a little bit?
Sure.
To your epiphany? I'm still wrapping my head around. When you were saying it, all I'm seeing in my head is like these pictures of me and white men with their arm around me. You know, like, look what we did. But I never felt that, and I'm not sure I agree with it right now. But I'm a noodle on that.
I think from a philosophical standpoint, it might ring true. Now, I'm not going to diminish human decency and say that, you know, people are we're acting with ill intentions. What I'll just what I'll say is that when I have that connection of being a part of your journey, I'm accepting of you. But we've also seen people who have been accepting of us who aren't accepting of others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who we think we think that they should extend the same treatment, and they don't roll off that same carpet because the familiarity isn't there. Yeah. So we've all seen that, and
treated differently.
Yeah.
There's levels to this shit.
Yeah.
That is a great point. There are levels to this shit, and they are very deep, and that's why social media is so hard because there's never a full context, but there's definitely feelings that are generated around it, right? And I'm like, man, so even this conversation, I just hadn't ever thought of in this context. I just never thought about like how deep or.
All right, two things. One, I've never heard Herman say, I've never thought of that.
Yeah.
Because he's thought of everything 5 years ago. That was a joke. No, I'm serious. But second is shit. I forgot my other one because the first one was so good. No, but that is very interesting. That is very interesting. So, all right, going back to white adjacency, right? So, defined as a person coming from a marginalized background within society in terms of race, and at the same time receiving benefits similar to those identified as white. Oh, I know what I was going to say.
Where did my privilege come in?
So, can you imagine having social media when we came up?
Oh, fuck no.
Part of me thinks that if there was social media, right, the ability to instantly distribute messages across the world or across a community, that this world would not be as connected, right? It would not be as integrated.
That's true.
We would be all in our silos using a platform that was built to connect.
Right.
Every community would have made silos.
Yeah.
In their own offshoots of the community.
But we wouldn't have seen
been,
shit because the picture quality was trash back then. Everything is blurry as shit.
It would have just been all text.
I know, like
Kodak phones.
right.
All right, so there wouldn't have been no visuals. Can you scan this for me?
Oh my God. And the lighting with black folks, oh my God.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, and well, every brown person is obviously super dark.
That's weird. But I just feel like it maybe, maybe that's just like, the doom and gloom of me. Maybe you put some rose-colored glasses on. Maybe integration, assimilation, and black culture, leading the entire world would have happened 10 times quicker, 100 times quicker, right? Because we would have been able to share, the greatness of our culture better, right? So
Or earlier.
whatever.
People would be more connected for longer, right? Like,
Yeah, but more intensely, right? Like,
right.
Black culture was always
Well,
leading American
You could
culture
never
as
see
an
it on
influence.
you could never see it on a micro level, right? Like you could only ever see black culture through
yes,
Cosby
mass
Show,
media, mainstream.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So the thing with
Record sales,
exactly,
but
So
not like individual downloads or views or likes on one piece of
Exactly,
content.
like
Like imagine, wow.
But we're here now, and we see that it is like the good, bad, and ugly of it.
Yeah.
And, like
So
it's
you're
not
saying
all-
it would look like it does now? Got it.
probably. Yeah, actually, it might have been better because we possibly could have gotten past some shit that we're still waiting to happen, right?
Nah.
Like,
No. Would have been segregated, I think.
I mean, everything
Oh,
was
that's-
so
I
toxic back then.
Because you got to look
Maybe.
at the era, like so. Basically, for all of you all, we're talking about if we had social media in the '90s specifically.
Yeah.
And if you look at that climate, that's a very, very racially charged
and sexually
climate.
charged.
and sexually charged. And so I really feel as if,
Yeah, I did hit puberty about then. I was, bro,
well,
I'm talking about like
yeah,
sexual slurs that were used during that time.
yeah, and
everybody would have been canceled.
a lot of things that weren't were considered taboo that aren't today. And so it would have been really interesting because, from a silo standpoint, or if let's keep it racial, definitely would have been siloed there. Sexual orientation would have been a big issue there. People, it was like 97 or 98 when Ellen felt comfortable saying that she was lesbian, although we knew it 4 or 5 years previously. But that's when she felt comfortable enough to say it on her own show. Maybe it was like 99. Like, so many different things would have been charged up.
It's weird because I don't remember Ellen before like 2020.
Yeah.
Well, you must have never had to do
Hey man,
dishes. When you have to do dishes, you got to sit there and
hey
watch
man,
a
how
whole
long,
lot of
hey,
shit.
dog,
that
how
you
long you
didn't-
been watching Ellen, homie? I said,
You thought we was just going right
you
past
think
that?
it was gonna slide?
Hey.
How long you been an Ellen lover?
Ellen had a sitcom, and when you got to wash dishes,
What was it called?
Ellen. That's what it was
So
called.
sitcom is the same name as her show?
Yep.
Tell us
Same
about
name as her
tell
name
us
name?
about the premiere, dog. Hey, I'm just kidding, man.
I mess around and I could tell you what happened on All My Children.
Hey man, every day after work, my mom was watching Young and the Restless and All My Children. Man,
Bro, All My
I was
Children.
all up to date, man.
Oh, it's funny. And
So-
that fucking General Hospital. Like, nobody watched that, but it was always on.
It
In
was always
Dallas.
Dallas.
on. Dallas, yeah,
That's the one. Didn't they bring that shit back?
they
think
did.
so.
It was dope.
All right.
Low-key. I liked it when they brought it back.
Pause. No,
Pause.
really, I want to pause and go back to what you talking.
yeah. No, I watched the
You
Dallas.
watched the
reboot.
new Dallas?
I did watch that reboot.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
See,
All right.
That's probably some white adjacent shit. Right there. That's probably
That's so white
that's
adjacent.
probably some white adjacent shit right there.
Well, white adjacency has to do with the privilege, and
Yeah.
when I think about it, I'm like, there's only
He had
been-
cable.
right? There's only a couple privileges that I can think of, and one is what?
We had a dish. Did you have a dish?
No.
Oh, you had a dish, dog?
no, but I had the good cable.
right? Like we would like in the birds, we was the first ones to get like the dish. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we got this satellite on top of our roof.
Big ass satellite.
This is cool.
You couldn't see that damn
Come
roof.
see, we got 300 channels.
Nah,
Everybody
man.
came out to the house.
Shout
Bro,
out.
we hosted all the Thanksgivings
Oh,
when
man.
we got the dish.
Shout out to Pops. He would get the cable, and then he knew how to wire it through the walls, so we had more. We had cable
Okay.
in more rooms.
See?
Yeah,
See?
man. So
And white America still being black as fuck. That's what I'm
Yes.
talking about.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Mr. Brown
Yeah,
for keeping
man,
it
we
real.
had
Yeah,
cable.
little TV on top of the big TV that don't work.
yeah, one for sound, one for picture.
Dog. Hey, look, all I was going to say is there's two places where I think that the white adjacency plays its factor, and I think that it has nothing to do with, well, let me just start. One would be just totally understanding white culture and being able to identify and think through things and whatever that is. The next would be when it comes to work, when it comes to jobs, when it comes to hiring decisions. When I went to Rockhurst, I went to school with people that ran things in Kansas
Your
City.
network.
Yeah, right. So from a networking standpoint, in a place where,
That's helped you get a lot of job opportunities.
yeah, I mean, honestly, or even just like getting through the interview, and it's like, oh, you know, I went to early on. It's like, oh yeah, I went to Rockhurst too.
Yeah,
and
you
then
had
it puts you on this same
stories
kind
to
of,
tell,
oh,
yeah.
I live in Lee Summit too, and they're like, oh, well, my family, you know,
Well,
like
as
it,
much as that costs us, you definitely should be able to plug it.
well, I mean, but that's why you do it, like building out that network,
I think the main privilege that I got is that I'm universally relatable.
dude. Right?
I can walk into a room and feel comfortable in making a white person feel comfortable with me. I can walk into a room and
But see, hold up real quick though, because people will pick that apart and be like, "Why are you trying to get that white validation?"
Well, I'm also a little,
not saying
I'm
that
also a little white woman seeing this big ass black ass man with his high ass booty coming in this room. Like, I'm kind of scared.
watch the way you walk. So watch him.
His booty captivated
Yeah,
me. So
watch her.
is that how you get him? Damn, he's still joining 20 years later.
DVG.
But I mean, real talk though. I mean, like you do look like the poster child of go
White-
back to
white fear?
19. Yes, thank
White
you.
fear from 1870.
Thank you.
Nigga tree. So I think that, but yeah, so I've been through those lumps, right? I've been that big black dude.
That's why
all
you
my
didn't
whole
get
life.
invited to that party.
Perhaps, you know, we overcame, but we overcame. As my popularity grew. Nah, but we
Now you
overcame.
can't come to my party.
It's all good now. But I think that I overcame that. So those forming, norming, storming portions of my life, I got that out the way. So now I'm like, okay, what does it take? What do they see in me? Oh, I probably look intimidating. So let's, flash a dimple. Oh, he's probably intimidating.
Fair.
Let's crack a joke.
He went down the triage list.
Let's show a little charisma.
Yeah,
Like
let me wear something lavender.
I know
what I'm saying,
it-
like a softer Easter color.
I know what to activate. But like I just feel comfortable because I've already been through that. So I'm able to acclimate quicker.
Pull your pants up.
Yep.
Got it.
It's also weird, right? Because it's not like it's something we think of, right? Like we've been around it for so long that it's just like second nature. Just to right, like
Yeah.
the things I think about or the things I worry about are still the same things. If I go to Target around the corner from my house, I still think that they're gonna think I'm stealing.
I always walk in the store.
You know what I'm
black.
saying? Like,
You know what I'm saying? Not me, but just black.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's. I'm like, I
1000%.
can't change. The first thing you see is me being black, but that's not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of so many other things.
It's nothing like in the business world for me, since I'm on the other side more often than not. It's nothing like having a panel interview and having a black candidate come in, and I see the name on the resume, and I'm like,
Damn it, Darius.
black. You go through the interview. I vibe with this person. Like, we here.
Yeah,
Go get the feedback, and everybody else is picking them apart. And I'm like,
yeah.
why? Oh, I get it.
Look here, motherfuckers.
Relatability.
Right.
That's what it is.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they probably were slightly more comfortable with me. They probably did open up a little bit more with me
Right.
because there's the relatability there.
You're the boss. They also didn't have a choice.
Well,
with
everybody
your
in there.
peers.
But
was
it's
the
also
boss.
still like the fact that they come across light. I'm going to say lightweight.
But they didn't hire you,
racist.
though.
No, but I'm talking about I'm the interview person, and somebody's talking to me trying to get a job. And so,
That's what I'm saying. You're talking about the other peers who are on the panel interviewing him.
yeah, but they don't have the connection. Like sometimes I'm in that room and I'm talking to a candidate, and the way the conversation flows, I'm like, there is some.
Yeah, I mean, that can be a racial thing or not. It could just be a shared experience thing. But I think to your
I'm
point,
talking about black candidates.
I think to your point, yes.
Yeah.
Again, you were a trailblazer,
Relatability.
right? You are the first black male HR person in the world.
Yes.
So, and the best.
Not just the city, but the world.
Okay. So you had to break that mold in order for other people to feel comfortable around, similar styles.
Yeah. I just kind of look at the feedback, though, and they'll be like, well, they didn't say this and they didn't say that. And I'm like, well, they told me this and they told me that. And I wonder, I'm like, okay, why was it the vibe or what was it?
Well, and I mean, that's a whole thing, right? Holding that person to a higher standard or different standard than the other, Caucasian candidates or lighter skinned candidates even, right?
Well, I
We
think
can bring
that-
colorism into this.
That plays into the entire ethos of systematic racism.
Right.
So, I was talking about like how many black bosses or how many black HR people have I ever had to interview? Like none. I cannot think of a single black boss that I've ever had. And I can think of so many jobs I've gotten where I was like the only or the first black guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, working in those spaces was weird. It was different because then you feel like you're being critiqued on everything you're doing and nobody believes your decision making. And, like that is hard. But the alternative, depending on where you live, right? So I'm like, Kansas City is very white. A lot of businesses are white owned. The black businesses that are owned aren't like big conglomerates that there are some here, but not by the numbers that would, like, I'm only going to do black shit. You're going to be unsuccessful because there's not enough.
Yeah.
Like, we need more money and investment in black businesses to create more jobs, whatever
Yeah.
that is. But I'm like, you can't negate the fact that some proximity to whiteness allows for us to be trailblazers at that time in this space that's been growing. Like, the suburbs are getting more brown, and hopefully more brown people are getting better jobs.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
So you said the Midwest is 73% white, 10% black, 8% Hispanic right now. I don't even know what those numbers were when we were coming up.
So I feel like the black people numbers have been relatively the same. Like, evenly, some of it gets always fluctuated between like 6 to like 8%. I don't know what it's at today. And then all throughout the Midwest, it's like most black people live in the same nucleus of a city, right?
Yeah, I guess it is important to.
There's no way Lee Summit is just like 8.
It's not
black.
still that. Yeah, there's no way.
Man, I looked at that football team, boy. They got black people all over it, boy. They got black people on the offensive line. They got black people in the backfield. They got black
Kickers
people
black.
They got black people on the sideline. Like, there wasn't many of them back in the day.
That's hilarious. All the black people were on the field. That's so funny.
Well, that's what I'm like, even the perception of how many black people are in the city is wildly probably overestimated if you were to look at the teams, and that shit wasn't that different than when we were there. Honestly. Lee Summit is 6.8% black.
There's no way. We just not filling out census forms. And that's the blackest
Another
thing.
black culture.
Yeah, that's the blackest thing we could do.
That's funny.
There's no way.
I ain't answering that door. Damn.
Oh, my bad. That's actually one zip code, but it's a big zip. 640 86.
Yeah.
86. Yeah. What's
All right.
What's the A1 hitting for?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we wasn't
Yeah.
that one. Yeah. That one's probably. That one's probably grown also.
Definitely.
All right, Worm. So, white adjacency. We had this comment, right? She basically told us like why you gotta look at the negative shit on black culture when you talk about proximity to whiteness. That wasn't what was going on in the post, which is okay. She made a comment. She powered through the noise and she got our attention. So here we are. But I'd be interested to know, like, have you ever intentionally or unintentionally focused or bashed black culture because of your proximity to whiteness?
Absolutely not.
No, man. Like I can't even like that. Doesn't,
See, the fact that you answered that so quickly with an absolute makes me think that
but I'm like,
that's incorrect.
Would you rather me say emphatically no?
but here's the thing: we are black. We can critique our blackness. We can critique black culture. No culture is perfect. All cultures have problems. So it's not like the more you know about shit generally, right? Like this, like the closer you are to white people is going to be negative. No, that's not true. That's fucking stupid. It's the more you know and how you activate what you know to your benefit as you move through life, right? And that has to do with socioeconomic. That has to do with a lot of other factors beyond race. Race is going to play its part, but it doesn't have to diminish other groups based off of, if anything, you need to know, be around more people, be around different cultures. Look, people talking about Kanye's comment around or his anti-Semitic comments, right? Like, how much does he know about Jewish culture? Whatever the history,
Right.
people just don't know. So it's interesting that people would bring up this white adjacency in a negative aspect, where it's just like, if I know a lot about white culture, then
Yeah. Well,
how is that a bad thing?
I can't
Yeah.
help what people discern from that video, but I don't really see any negative about being in proximity of white people. Like the only negative I can probably think of is there's a little harder to find certain seasonings when you go to the grocery store. You have to look a little bit more attentively. But I think
Don't go to Piggly Wiggly.
yeah, man. I mean, there's just not as much.
Your
You know
hot
what I'm
ass
saying?
peppers on aisle 4,
You know
black
what I'm
women.
saying? If I want, can't.
The Lowry's is aisle 7, right next to the Louisiana hot
You know what I'm
sauce.
saying? There's only certain places
Fully
that,
stocked.
There's only
Fully
there's only certain places that sell Glory Greens.
Do they sell those here?
Yeah.
That's what's up. All right, so we cannot deny our proximity to whiteness, especially as growing up. Are you denying your white adjacency?
Nah.
No.
I think that's made me. I think that's the proximity or the privilege of being in the places I've been in has helped create this this individual that you see before you today. So I'm not going to deny that. I'm going to tell you that what I think Derek had is options, and I think we all have options. For him, the option was he wasn't feeling love, and then another demographic gave him love, and he withdrew from where he didn't feel like he was getting love. And his lack of love was kind of running deep because he talked about things not only from just this family member, but he talked about a relationship with his mother and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. So, he found love and comfort in that interaction, and that's his choice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's interests, right? Like, so
What do you mean?
proximity,
Right, so proximity is just
location,
it's just facts,
right,
right? Like geographically, you either live by a bunch of white people or you don't. Right. So we can't deny that. But white adjacent, I mean, do you admit that you have had certain privileges
Yeah,
growing up in?
yeah. I mean, they're like I
Growing up
said,
white
the
adjacent.
privileges I think that are most like employment, being able to say that I was in these safe spaces for a very long time,
Yeah.
so I don't have to build other levels of credibility that you might if you don't have that connection. I mean, and to me, it's just as simple as that.
Yeah. I have two other questions for you guys. But before I go there, I will say that, so growing up white adjacent, right, in Lee Summit, Raytown, Grandview, I mean, it's all white adjacent. But then when I went to FAM for college, bro, I was not white adjacent. I mean, there wasn't a white person. There was one. There's two white people. It was
The kicker.
a chick named Olivia. Well, there was like other white people that I didn't know, but in the business school, in the 5 years MBA program, there was one girl and one dude. That was it, and then everybody else was like at Florida State. But what I will say is though, I experienced culture shock, but it did not take me long to feel home. Right? Like, I mean, every teachers, students, roommates, bosses, coworkers, everybody was black. And it was awesome. And now that I think about it more and more, gosh, I appreciate that experience so much. But I was scared. I mean, I'm be real. Like I was scared to just be like, all right, I'm going to this black ass school with all these black people, and I did not grow up like this. But you know, I took to a fish like water, or took to water like a fish, whatever it's called.
The latter.
Yep. So
At the illustrious Florida.
don't you even.
I'm not gonna say anything.
I know
dog.
you. All right. My last two questions after T-Bone keeps giggling like a little girl.
Oh, giggity giggity.
All right, so I'm thinking about doing this segment when we have guests.
All right.
So I'm gonna trial run it with y'all.
Okay.
Okay.
Herman and Travis.
Yes.
Man, there's some white adjacent names.
Yes.
That's a family name, my
Yes, it
brother.
is.
This is Tim. Travis, Herman.
Yeah.
What is the whitest thing you do?
Shit.
And I will ask you, what is the blackest thing you do? But what is the whitest thing? Like, what do you just pull out of your white experiences, white America, white culture?
Okay. All right. I think mine is obvious. It's gonna be coffee.
Coffee. Explain.
So if you've ever heard me order my coffee drink with, which most people have not, that shit is,
Hi, may I help you?
yeah, you know, so let me get that blended lavender honey
Oh God.
with an extra shot of espresso.
Blended lavender honey.
Dog,
With the
hey,
extra
look,
shot.
Hey, still a thug. I get my coffee.
Is that the name you giving them?
I get my coffee like a not who I am in my heart. But that shit is delicious, and I get it every day, and I don't give a damn.
How do you order it? Do you
I
go
don't
in?
have to order it. I only had to order it a few times. Now everybody knows the order, so I don't have to say it. I don't have to. They see me, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's the." Don't say it.
Is it downtown, or do you order this in
Around the
Lee
corner.
Summit?
Around the corner.
Okay. All right. So in the River Market, which is
Yeah, it's eclectic more than it.
yeah.
We gonna go with that.
Okay.
Eclectic ass drink.
Lavender ass honey with a shot of espresso.
I like
okay?
sweets.
T, what is the whitest thing you do? And let me preface by saying, no offense to all our white listeners. Like, we use the word white very freely, just like we use the word black.
Yeah.
Hey, nigga, like, just get comfortable with it.
White lavender, it's not inherently white. You know what I'm saying? Other groups can have lavender honey.
Not together.
No, you gotta put it
Honey.
together. You gotta blend it.
Honey. Okay, cool. Lavender. Okay, cool. But
Man, that
honey
little
lavender.
hint of the lavender, dog, that should be hidden.
That's
anyway,
Caucasian
T-Bone,
as they come, Cuddy.
Well,
the whitest thing T-Bone does is fire black people.
Is be an HR professional.
Putting people on pips.
the whitest thing I probably do is be an HR person. But I think that, you know what? That wasn't my answer. But
Second
that's
was an
probably
O lineman
accurate.
in the 90s.
I'd probably say,
Nah.
and I like mayo on my burgers. And the reason why that comes to mind is because of Undercover Brother.
You're gonna have to learn to like
Mayo.
mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Get out.
So, yeah, man, I slapped mayo on there.
Okay, that's a whole thing in and of itself. Like, my pops was like, first, my mom's doesn't like white shit, period, on anything. My dad, I know there's a difference between like mayonnaise and Miracle Whip.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Is there a difference, like a true, actual difference?
Not really to me, but it tastes different. Yeah.
Herm, is there a difference?
I don't know, man.
Do you eat either one of them, or do you eat
I'm gonna
both?
say-
or does it
I'm
just
gonna-
not
you know,
fucking matter?
It don't matter to me, but I actually maybe it does because I feel like Miracle Whip, maybe it's a little bit lighter. You know what I'm saying?
Is
Maybe
it?
it has like different hints of
Lavender and honey?
But they
I'm
got
just
they
kidding.
got the olive oil. You
Oh
know?
yeah, the olive oil.
Okay. So hey, shout
Keep
out to
going,
the olive
keep
oil,
going.
man.
Yeah,
We do have that in the refrigerator.
Yes,
I'm not
there
gonna
you
lie.
go.
Wow.
How long have you been on this mayonnaise kick?
Oh wow, a long time.
Like, did you have mayonnaise in your childhood home growing up?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's black adjacent. Mayonnaise is okay.
I could have went several ways, right? Like I could have went ketchup, which is popular in my community. You know what I'm saying? I could have went mustard. I do like mustard, but that's
Ew.
more like to supplement the mayo. You know, I could
You
have
don't like
went
mustard?
barbecue
Not
sauce.
by itself. Nobody
On a
likes
burger. We
mustard
talking about
by
on a
itself.
burger.
Could have went barbecue sauce, which I do love.
That's black as fuck.
Yep.
Barbecue sauce on everything.
I mean,
bro.
I put barbecue sauce in everything. growing up.
everything.
Like I never touched mayonnaise. I
keep
just
up-
love the word.
Bro, I'm hungry snacks in the middle of the night / all throughout the evening.
Slash
it's-
all day.
It's whatever I can dip in and get my gate sauce. They don't give a shit what it is.
How can you integrate that in?
Bro, catfish barbecue sauce.
Oh,
Bro,
no.
you can put
Hold up.
What?
Depending on the time.
Oh.
If time is of the essence, right? Like I'm just up to go to
can
the
dip.
bathroom.
so the Gates barbecue sauce is very vinegary, which is perfect for fish. I mean, you know, because I
I just want the flavor of
I've
barbecue
never done it
in my
before.
mouth.
Yeah,
I
I've
just want the flavor. So I can go to sleep. So I can get the itis and go to sleep. Don't matter what it is.
Okay.
That's funny. All right.
In college, it was barbecue sauce everything, but I think after that, then that's when like the mayo would.
So you're right. In college, it was barbecue sauce.
Uh-huh.
Barbecue sauce, everything. For me,
Yeah.
is because I was trying to rep.
Oh.
So
yeah.
I had a refrigerator full of Casey Masterpiece
Yep.
Of course.
until my fucking roommate picked up the bottle and was like, "Nigga, this shit made in Massachusetts."
It's bottled there.
I was so mad. I didn't
don't
know.
worry
I didn't
about
know the difference. All right.
Should have been with that Gates anyway.
What is the blackest thing? I already know Herman's answer.
What? No. What? First of all, we're gonna break stereotypes. So the blackest thing I do is have graduated from college to take care of my family.
Boom.
Simple.
Yeah, we already had that episode, cuz.
Damn it. Okay, so it's the
That was
actual
season
blackest
one.
thing I do.
The stereotypical blackest thing you do.
Stereotypical.
Oh man, I got a good one.
I don't even know.
I'll go first.
Herman, all we got to do is go through your iPod
Oh shit.
I'll go.
to the most frequently played songs
Dog,
that we're going
we
to
already know.
find. Who we going to find?
Hey man,
Who we going to
I
find?
gotta be honest, man. I've been listening to Trench Runner Pootie. It's a
knew
great
it.
name.
I
It's
knew
a
it.
great name, dog.
Trench Runner Pootie, shout out, cuz. we going to hit you up
Hey,
on the next
man.
episode.
Oh my god.
First of all,
Who is Trench Runner Pootie?
don't worry about that.
Is he from
He's
Jackson?
from Alabama.
Oh, God.
Okay. He from Alabama.
Love it, dog. Hey man,
Trench Runner.
yeah. Pootie. Don't shake
See?
your head at me, HR professional. You
I
can't get in
don't-
trouble for that.
Blackest thing
I
you
need
do,
to
cuz.
say that I do not do this anymore, but I used to. I used to buy red Solo cups.
That means he misses it.
I used to buy red Solo cups and rinse the motherfucker and reuse.
Oh,
I rinse them
shit.
out and reuse them.
Wow, man.
Did you rinse them out or did you put them in the dishwasher?
I didn't put them in dishwasher.
All right,
well,
so
they
you
were
kept
with
it,
hand
you
wash
kept it
water?
black all the way through.
Yes.
Hand wash.
And I,
Hey,
and I just have a.
And how did you dry them? You
He
had
got a drying
whole
rack.
drying rack full of red
No,
Solo
no,
cups.
just,
dog?
no.
just for the solo
Nah,
cups.
here's-
Everything else goes in the dishwasher.
You take a towel, you set it down, you set them over, and you let it just drip dry. Yeah. That's black as hell.
Put a
wasn't
little
it?
heat to it.
So you have a roommate. So is that why you
That got
stopped doing
killed.
it?
She
You put one solo cup out. She was like,
Nah, she was aiding me and cleaning these one time long ago, and she was like,
yeah.
"Why the fuck am I doing this?"
You know, they start out
And
like,
I realized,
yeah, I do whatever you
I
need, baby.
realized that it's time. Like, I'm making enough money to invest in some cups, and let's do this.
Nigga, you worked at Walmart.
Yeah, I did.
Didn't they have their own brand of
That
solo cups?
meant my solo cups were 10% less because I
It's a
had
great-
that discount.
Yeah.
That's hilarious, bro.
What is it? What was their slogan?
Save money, live better.
Look at that guy. He'll never leave, man.
Still rocking it with his
Yeah,
Tim,
man.
1,000
you're not
shares.
getting away. What's the
Yeah.
whitest thing you do?
Hey,
bro?
man, I just got a text from wifey. It's time to go.
Yeah.
Well,
Nah,
you got to
man.
answer.
Nah.
I didn't really think about it.
So?
The whitest thing that I do
How did we skip over that? He
or done.
he's
Try to
smooth.
slide.
That was
I
a
know.
transition,
He's
bro.
sli- yeah.
That's right.
I've been hosting for 3 years, Cuddy. I got
Yeah.
shit. I don't know, man. What would you say, Herm?
Have,
Nah,
multi-
nah,
have
nah.
multiple homes.
Yeah, that is.
Nah, that's trending. I think that's trending globally.
Let's see, what's the whitest
Cross
thing?
demographics.
The whitest thing you do.
Whitest thing I do. I don't know, man.
I know the
you
blackest thing you do. Well, you've been working on it. but that would be showing up on time.
Oh,
Oh,
It's
yeah.
gotten substantially better.
Pre-kids, I was the latest motherfucker you ever
Tim
knew.
would show up a day and a half late to an event.
Bro, I was
Man, where y'all at?
Only starting quarterback to never lead calisthenics.
I feel attacked.
He just
attacked.
He just show up in the huddle ready to call the first play.
Everything? Y'all was late to everything.
I used to come in at calisthenics and take over. I'm like, thanks, Justin. I got it from here.
I mean,
Oh my God.
the latest. It didn't matter what it was or how
Yeah.
important it was. He ain't gonna be on time.
Bro, I was late for everything.
yes,
I mean, we
we
talked
know.
about it. I
We
think I got that honestly. Sorry, moms and dad, but I was so late in high school that my white friends bought an orange shirt and Herman, and they ironed on the letters LMN. Did you have a part of that?
I don't.
Because now
I don't think I did.
I feel like
Attacked.
I
Yeah.
feel attacked. Not only
Oh, for
Did-
sure.
were they attacking me on the lateness,
Yeah.
but LMN stands for last minute Negro.
That
Yeah.
hopefully did not come from the white students. It did.
No, that came from Woody. You yeah, I'm talking to you.
Did-
Talking to you. It was Clayton and Sanderson.
Oh,
Man, I know you had something to do with that.
I don't remember, but I do remember
So
the LMN.
Woody was one of our basic Woody Jason. I mean, he talked about it. He grew up poor in Lee Summit, right? Two of our closest white friends were poorer than us.
yeah.
Put that on the head and flip it.
They thought black people were affluent.
They were like,
And
"Damn, every black person."
and so they, Woody would always spend the night, and after Friday night game, he'd spend the night,
Yeah, he spent the night at your house.
and then Saturday
Tim wouldn't be there.
Yeah. I know where he spent the night at.
Yeah.
Hey man, my mama listen. But no, he would spend the night Fridays, and then we had Saturday morning practice the next day at 8 a.m. and we were always late. And I think that's why I got the
would
shirt.
say,
Yeah,
there
because
was.
I'd pull out my house and be like, I don't think they're going to make it.
The Stang still parked on the street. You can see it when you
Yeah.
drive out.
I should have been a better teammate and knocked on the door.
I will say there was an obscene amount of the N word
Watch
being
it.
used at that time, dog. Just
Really?
using the N. Yeah, dog. Every other word was an N word, or at least for
See,
us.
I don't remember using it in high school.
What,
I do not.
Yeah.
Well,
bruh?
all right.
Yeah.
Maybe I just because I used it so much in college.
I mean, we used that shit in high school, an extreme amount.
Yeah, I remember it getting introduced and then accelerated somewhere around 97.
I don't
Right.
remember. I don't
Go.
think I personally used it a lot. I think because I remember the word Negro because it was Element was last minute Negro, right? Like Woody and Jason wouldn't have said that.
I'll allow it.
Sharp, you were saying it,
I don't know, I'll allow that one.
but those guys weren't saying it.
Yeah.
So, but that's obviously that's where they got it from, right?
Yeah.
They were black adjacent.
Yeah.
On the next episode. Yeah, so that's the blackest thing. The whitest thing, shit, I don't know, man. Pay my taxes.
This is coming from a guy who listened to Sublime.
Oh,
Okay, that was not by
shit.
choice.
You sound like it.
No, it was by. It's since I was one of the only two freshmen on varsity. I needed a ride, okay, to practice.
Mhm.
A junior gave me a ride. We had to listen to what he wanted to listen to.
Okay, you got anything like that in your playlist now?
Trench run.
What?
Huh? Nothing.
What'd
Keep
you
going.
say?
Nothing.
No, not really.
Okay.
I mean, I could pull up the iTunes and I can send everybody on their way with some nice music. All right. Since you calling me out, we're going to go to recently played top 25 most played songs. All right. All of them are from the Trolls soundtrack.
Huh.
That doesn't count. Let's see. DNA, Drake, Childish Gambino, Joe Black with Kansas City. Drake. He's white adjacent. Nah, man. Yeah.
I don't know.
What else you got? Trying to call me out.
I'm analyzing your life.
I drive a Camry. You want to say something about that? I drive a Dodge Stratus. Nah, man. I mean, yeah, I don't know. TBD on that one.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
But
I'll be watching you.
Yeah. What kind of household?
The white culture police.
What kind of household cleaning products you use? Bro?
Hey, man. Hey, man. That's not what I do. Looking up old shit.
Uh-huh.
All right, so
You don't clean
Anyway.
everything with Don?
Is there anything else that you clean with? No, I know. I'm just.
so is white adjacency positive, negative, or something else?
If it's negative, I think that is due to however it is being interpreted by somebody at an individual level. I personally think, by and large, you cannot help where you grow up. If you grow up based off of where your parents have you, that is a parent thing, and you grow up within a certain environment. If that happens to be adjacent to whiteness, I would say learn from it and learn how to navigate from that. Because in life, like if you're in the Midwest or a lot of other places, like you're going to have to understand the nuances of culture, and you don't have to give anything up from yours. Just use it as a learning experience and build out your network, and
Yeah.
you'll be straight.
But to me, that only gives visibility into part of your evolution. And yes, there is the definite part about when you're young and you're growing up, but you have options and choices now. And to put yourself into an area where you can either live yourself or raise your children in white adjacent neighborhoods. And your evolution, you're still evolving so much, even after you hit 40 or 30 or 40 or something like that. There's so much more that happens. And if you choose to put yourself in those type of situations, there is nothing negative about it, to each its own, and you have to soak up that experience. Because I think there's something to be learned or grasped, or something to take from all these different experiences or cultures you can be in. So, white adjacent is what it is. I think it's just a label to things that are not abnormal or nothing wrong with it. So you do you.
Yeah. And, just the way the world is and the way the world should be is integrated. 1,000%. At least that's my take. Till next time.